there is an effort that's going on, a very substantial and organized effort to destroy all these cultural norms that made this country great. The types of things that made my mother, stand up, in the tough times. I mean, growing up during the Depression, with nothing.
Right.
No one to help them. 9 kids, but you know what? They ate,
right,
and they were never cold. They had shitty clothes a lot of times, but they ate. They worked on things. They took care of their neighbors. They took in other kids, and they helped, families that were in need. It wasn't just about them. It was about everyone.
Right.
But that whole sort of like coming together.
See, but your mother had obviously that feminine quality, but she also had the quality of protecting and of working.
Well, I got to protect
and of helping. But so why don't we have that now? Why don't we have these?
Well, because it was a different focus of the feminine brain at that time. The feminine brain at that time is about procreating and making families.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
and
very good.
This is what the expectation was.
Correct.
Upon the girls at that time is they're going to get to a certain age and they're going to start having babies.
A proper application of human sexuality as procreation and not recreation. So.
Right, but her first goal is to find a good mate, okay, that she could work with and agree with.
So you're not looking for a loser.
You're looking for somebody, at that time, you're looking for somebody who was motivated because everyone was a loser.
Okay.
No, I mean, everyone was down. There wasn't any, except for the people that had the money.
Okay, that makes sense, sure. Right.
And they wouldn't talk to the farm girls so much because they didn't have anything. But they were looking at things through a short lens. But what had to happen at that time is you had these people who were of the land, and, not everybody had, the cars, the cell phones. And the communication, the ease of communication has really been a downfall, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they don't have the patience to wait. They don't have the patience to wait and think about what it is they're going to say.
Right.
They just shut any thinking.
Yeah, and there's no interaction directly with a human being.
They don't get this. So basically, they're all running around with sort of a fundamental Asperger's syndrome going on. They don't understand what the person's emotional reaction was to their message because they don't see it.
Right. Right.
And so that's all half of the communication is what's happening in the face, in the person to person.
That's a good point.
The timing of how it comes out.
So they got to make up the rest of that interaction, not knowing what the real result.
Right. Like I could say something to you, and you realize, oh, he's just joking, because I could see on his face that he was smiling and kind of.
But if I don't
see
you,
you'd think, what the hell is he saying?
Maybe he's attacking me.
My God, what's wrong with him?
Right.
And this is what happens with the texting and things like that. And so that's why the world is changing, and it's going to change completely in an instant through these things. It's just going to happen. AI is going to change things. It's going to be, you can't trust the information now. Wait till AI gets fully unleashed. And quantum computers. I mean, actors are out of jobs. They did the Snow White movie with how many CGI characters? They didn't even go out and rent a midget. A little person to play one of the dwarves. They just made them on, CGI. Put all these guys that had all these 3-foot-tall actors. None of them got jobs, and they're displacing them because they were, economically inefficient.
So we could be building a cave with AI.
There are caves with AI.
I mean, like that Plato idea that these things even become worse because
because they become more comfortable to exist in there. Because they start seeing this, false reality of things, but it seems so real. And they are so confused they can't get out of this, terminal loop to get the reset button. Because they don't need the reset button. They need the reset button. Because they're in the cave and everything agrees. So they've created sort of like their own little heaven.
Right.
Where heaven is where I say where everybody agrees. So when they're in their little bubbles, everybody agrees. That's their little form of emotional heaven. And that's where these people are hanging out. They have no courage. They have no, free will because they've given their free will to the group, to the comprehensive body, to the woke, because that makes them comfortable and they have a place.
That's what communism did.
Well, they promised that, but then they didn't deliver.
They didn't deliver.
Right.
But if you thought outside of the box,
right,
Poor Joseph Torelya was in Russian gulags for 26 years. All he wanted to do was pray the rosary.
Yeah.
And they threw him in jail for 26 years.
Well, it's like Alyssa O'Connor, who went by the pen name of Ayn Rand, who did The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged and things like that. And I had a chance to meet her when I was back in college. And she left Russia when in like 1916, 17, 18, somewhere in there. But she got to New York, and she knew she had to assimilate. And so she dumped her Russian name, and she picked up the name Alyssa. And then she ended up marrying a guy by the name of O'Connor, and so her name was Alyssa O'Connor, but she went by Alice.
I think what she did is she applied for a visa to go visit friends, knowing that she wasn't going to return to Russia because she wanted to report on the nightmare that was emerging.
Right, with the Marxist and the communism rising up. And she had to get out because she just knew, because the way her thinking was, she knew that she was going to be placed in a box and she'd never get out.
That's amazing.
So she got out while she could. The foresight.
Joseph Torelya said that the prison guards were in a greater prison than he was because they had the prison of the mind and the thinking. And so he said he had greater amount of conversions to Christianity with the prison guards than he did with people when he got freedom.
Right. And this is what's working more on Muslims. And I've said before, Muslims are the first victim of Islam. They were the first victims, and they've still been victimized. And the only thing that's going to lift them out is the truth and hitting them with the truth. And sometimes in order to get them to even listen to you, you can't hit them with facts because they'll repel against that. You have to mock them.
Yeah.
You have to mock them. And then once they come around and realize that they had a problem and you may have been right, then you put away the mocking, and then we have our discussion. But you can't have a discussion until they elect to listen. And at least listen.
Well, you had a good point there in terms of the mocking, because that breaks down. We're not to engage in Lucifer, but I believe the Blessed Mother indicated at some point that if you mock, here's a fallen angel that had everything, and all of a sudden, how could you possibly do this? You got to be out of your mind, and he don't want to hear that stuff.
No, he's very jealous.
But if you want to engage him and you think that you've got the intellect, he'll hand you your ass. But if you
don't do it,
right,
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't test the devil, because the devil knows you better than you do, and
right. No, you're right.
The devil doesn't give a shit. He'll come after you.
Right.
He's got nothing to lose.
He figures the guy wants to. He wants to.
Yeah, you want to play?
Yeah.
I'll play.
Right. I'll play with you. Right.
Yeah, I'll show you something. Yeah, and don't do it. It's not a good idea.
So here we are. We're discussing things that are extremely, extremely important as far as human affairs.
Yeah.
Islam taking over England. Who would have thought England was going to roll over? Well, Australia, now in the United States, or like Dearborn, Michigan. How this thing rising in terms of...
Well, you got Chicago's going on. You got Baltimore's going on. The same things are happening there. They're trying to do it down in Texas. They wanted to come in... Islam wanted to come in and build their own little town. Then the state said, no, we're not going to have that. We're not going to have a place where they'll try to elect to have Sharia law overlaying their local codes already, state codes. And that's what the goal of these encampments or entrenchments is so that they can do a layering of Sharia law over the local code, which they will say...
It'll be a state within a state.
It's going to be another level of authoritarianism over your
localized,
over your freedoms being taken away,
and eventually take over the government in Texas.
They come and say, "Nice place you got here, Alex. Too bad if something happened.
You don't own it. Yeah. We can insure it for you. But...
Right. You just have to pay us."
Well, the Italians used to do that. We'll protect you when you don't need protection. You're protecting yourself from them. They're extorting you.
Right. Well, and it happens here. You get emotional extortion is going on also with the takeover of the schools and the ideas and the principles that in there that
What's happening in the schools in Dearborn? Are they being systematically?
I don't know, but somebody has to get in and check and see what the school menu is as far as
Sure.
the lesson plans and things like that, if it's being changed. But this is their plan of attack as they come in. Oh, we're nice, we're civil, and many of them aren't because they're not really fully practicing. They might be Muslims in name only, and those are the ones you could basically, I think, reform, and get to assimilate a little bit better than the others.
Well, that's what
they just want to be kind of like left alone. But they're doing this. They got to fight for mom and dad's, concerns about, that Islam is the only true religion, and they're trying
they get threatened too, though. I mean, if they don't go along with the extremists, they kill them too. I mean,
you have honor killings or
they kill their own children, right?
Yeah, they just don't call them honor killings in the United States.
Yeah, you were saying they'd cover it up and they'd say, "Oh, the so and so committed suicide."
Yeah, they had like 50 of them in 2015, and there hasn't been another one reported since.
Is that right?
Well, because Obama was president, so he had the FBI and the Justice Department and all like that. They took honor killing out of the lexicon, and now it's domestic.
Oh,
they're all listed as domestic violence. But you got these westernized girls are saying, "But I love Jimmy. I don't want Abdul." And Daddy says, "Well, you're going to have Abdul. No Jimmy for you. You don't like it? Well, we're going to ship you off to Pakistan."
No Jimmy for you.
Now you leave it. I was trying to keep it clean. I could make it John. You want to make it Jimmy?
Yeah. See, these are realities. I mean, if you're not around or if you haven't kept up with it, nobody would know this even exists.
Well, if you don't look for it or you don't see it, but if you don't have eyes to see, you won't know. And that's what these people in the blue bubbles, they don't want to look outside. They want to stay where it's comfortable. And people don't want to have, feminine brain does not like conflict. It does not like discussion. It does not like debate. It wants everyone to agree. And, we're going to make nice. You guys leave that. We're not going to talk about that now. And that's what the feminine brain wants to do. The man brain says, we're going to finish this. We're going to settle this now.
Right. Yeah,
okay. And that's what dad brain does.
They don't want to approach it.
Yeah, when dad gets home, there's swift justice in 15 minutes because dinner's at 6. And so you're going to cry from 5:30 to 5:45, after I spank you. But, you got to get ready for dinner then after that, clean off those tears. I don't want to see any crying kids at the table.
They showed this thing on the internet where they said this is what a kid looks like if he hasn't been spanked, and it's a young kid that's all different colored hair with rings in his nose. Mm-hmm. He goes, "This is what your son looks like if you haven't whacked him."
Yeah, if he's never been spanked, But this is what.
But it's true. There's no discipline. It's almost like you've got heathens. It's it makes our generation of hippies look pretty cool. I mean, you didn't have all this. I mean, you kind of looked the part, but you didn't.
Yeah, all these mommies when their boy comes home and wanting to wear her pumps and nylons, and it's like, "Oh, that's nice, honey."
Yeah.
Do you want the green ones or the red ones? It's like, it's it's a fabrication of reality that's going on, and it's not going to end well. God does not like people coming in and messing with nature. He designed it pretty good.
Right. He designed it right, and then when we do that, we degrade it. We degrade his creation, is what we do.
I don't know if there's been any instances where it's worked out very well, but we're going to find out because we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up that isn't going to be fixed easily. It's going to take some confrontations, and there's going to be some pain. And like you said, with the 3 days of darkness, what are we going to have?
2/3 of the world population are earmarked for darkness. The souls will be collected, and 1/3 of the population of the children of the light will also be martyred and vetted during this clean out, if you will. Our Lord has to, usher in a period of peace. And in order to do that, you can't have 2/3 of the world population, whoever they may be, of human beings that are presenting false gods.
In a false narrative. He doesn't have any fertile. He doesn't have any fertile ground there to work.
Right.
It's wasted seed. Right. So Well, anyway, I want to get into the 3 days, but I want to, we'll settle this one up. We're going to come back with a new segment here. So in the meantime, we love you, and we'll be back.
Sounds good.
It's coming to a head. It's coming to a real confrontation out there, and it's about time, as I say. But the devil is making his move, and Islam is doing their things right now because they've always intended on defeating and demolishing the West. You know, with Sun Tzu's philosophy, he was the old Chinese emperor, and he wrote the book, The Art of War. And he talked about the real secret to war is to get your enemy to submit without having to fight.
Wow. We're experiencing it
Or
now.
you're using their feminine brains against them. And so they feminized the Western, institutions.
And you beat them.
This is their long play. They knew it would take 50 years to feminize them. They did that, and now they're moving on to part 2, which is to castrate the males and, take away their desire to feed back and fight back. That type of thing. Make them weak in their own without firing a shot. And they're basically, we paid them to come here. We're paying them to buy the houses with the welfare.
Did a lot of them come through that open border?
Yeah. Yeah, lots of it. And
Well,
a lot have been here earlier, and they did the chain migration. They got somebody in on student visa or whatever, and then they start bringing all the rest of the family in.
Okay. Is there any way to vet them to see whether or not they're here legally and get rid of them? Or
Oh yeah, that's what's going on right now with the Department of Homeland Security, and yeah,
will they go into Dearborn and start checking?
they're in there, they're doing it.
Oh, there are. They
Yeah,
are.
and that's got everyone upset.
No, good for them. You got it. Good.
Well, they'll go into Dearborn, but they're going into other places right now, like Charlotte. They got 100 and some the other day, but that's a big part of the human trafficking, children coming up missing in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
But who knows what's going on in Dearborn? We haven't been able to, I think, get in there too much. I think the government's been a little afraid because they know that could start a real, Islamic jihad.
Bring it on.
Well, they're going to be. Let's talk about it. Let's not talk amongst ourselves. Let's get into it. All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of Older Man Living Life with Purity. And as you can see, Alex is still in the studio here with us. Say hello, Alex.
Good to be with you.
And good to have you here. And as I started out in our last segment, we were talking about what's going on in the world right now with woke ideology, some of this other, disillusionment of when people are coming out of their caves and realizing that reality is not going to go well with what their preconceived ideas are in their blue cocoon, so to speak. But all this has been adding up and leading up to what has been prophesied. And this has been going on for a few centuries at least. And I think a lot of this is even talked about by John in the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say, oh, that's the book of Revelation, that's way out there, Jesus' second coming and all like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you right now, and I'm going to ask you, my friend, if Jesus was here right now and was doing work in the world, okay, and there was like convincing, evidence to see that this guy's doing something's happening around this guy, there's a movement going on, do you think that the churches would even recognize him?
They would recognize him as an enemy that would have to be nuked.
Yeah, they would come after him.
They would come after. They would not.
Just like they did with me when I tried talking about what was going on in Rome City to the bishop and others.
Well, yeah, they'd come after.
Instead of trying to come and help me and figure things out, they wanted to categorize me as being a nut job and crazy.
Yeah.
And
They
so
would not
I was the problem because I went against their narrative.
Well, if they can't recognize the Blessed Mother through the work that you're doing with Our Lady of America, which has roots in solid Catholic Christian theology with Archbishop Leibold, if they can't recognize you as being a positive and doing good work for the Lord, because they talk about it all the time, the laity, this and that and the other thing. They're not going to recognize Jesus.
Well, they're all fine about the laity, this, that, and the other, as long as you do what they want you to do.
Which is nothing. Which is sit there.
Well, it's just sit there and be a good little boy or girl. You're right. And,
where's the suffering?
Make sure the pudding's out there,
Where's the fruits?
Right.
Well, you see the suffering and the fruits, and you still don't respond. How about you suffer?
I don't want anyone to suffer. I just want
I'm
to.
just saying, let them take part in it.
Well, but they're comfortable.
That's right.
This is what happens when comfort enters the equation. We talked about things like this. We were talking about the 8 steps to the decline of nations. It was put forth by Archbishop John Knoll. It was a warning. And we're in the last stage, which is the apathy.
Right.
And this is why Mamdani got elected mayor in New York City.
Has to be apathy.
Nobody cares anymore. They said, we got to try something. Everything else
something
sucks.
for free. That's for me. Who's the guy? What's his name? Yeah, I'll vote for him.
I got to get free bus rides? I'll take that. Yeah, all day long. But at the same time, they're giving up other freedoms and other things like that. But they don't realize what they've got and what's at stake. And this is how the devil works to come in and get you comfortable and get you passive, to not respond to these things when they happen. Say, oh, what's it going to hurt? It's like Pope Francis Bergoglio did in his last administration. He went over to the Far East and he said, all religions are basically the same. They all lead to God. The great, equalizer, equivalency, across the board. Well, I got to tell you something. I am not worshiping a cow, and I'm not going to smear cow shit all over me to celebrate
I wouldn't.
being a Hindu.
I don't blame you.
But I don't think that's the same, but maybe they're not going to say that they eat the body and blood of Jesus, through their Eucharist and things like that. So, the pendulum swings both ways, but I think that there are some facts that are evident in one side of the argument than not in the other one. So, but anyway, I want to talk about the 3 days of darkness that's been prophesied. I know you've had a lot of time to go through. You read a book. Now, this book is called The 3 Days of Darkness, or 3 Days Darkness. And
who's it written by?
It says Albert. The graphics on this thing are terrible. Albert J. Hurt, H-E-E-R, Hebert.
It's in here. It should be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Want me to cheat? Huh? Go to the easy part. Albert J. Hebert, H-E-B-E-R-T, dedicated to the justice and the mercy of God, 1986. And he has in his prologue here, if I say, surely the darkness shall hide me, and night shall be my light. For you, darkness itself is not dark, and night shines as the day.
What does that mean?
Well, let's talk about it. If I say, surely the darkness shall hide me, and night shall be my light. And it says here, for you, darkness itself is not dark, and night shines as the day. So for those people who are living in this darkness, the light doesn't matter. They see without the necessity of light, because everything shines bright because it's very clear. They can see it without the element of light. And this, I think, is going to be the people that will survive, that 30% you talked about. And I don't want to get into it, but Alex had mentioned that with the 3 days of darkness, that 30% would be salvaged.
Talking about the sifting of the human race. 30% of the people will be children of the light, and 60% of the people will be children of the dark. So this is worldwide. So some of the children of the light will die during this period, and a great number of the children of the dark will die because there's a sifting that'll go on. That the keys, that the Antichrist will be given the keys to the gates of hell, just as Christ was given the key to the gates of heaven, to open up the gates of heaven in his crucifixion for our souls to go into heaven. But same thing will happen on the opposite end, that the Antichrist will be given the keys to the gates of hell, to open up those gates and permit what belongs to Lucifer to collect those souls that have decided that they're siding with the fallen angel.
I wonder if that has to go with Our Lady's message to me earlier this year that Lucifer has loosed more demons than ever before. Maybe this is what happened.
Absolutely. You were given an important piece of information that in the history of humanity, of Lucifer collecting souls, that he's releasing more demons to destroy the souls and to collect them when that period in time
He's
comes.
looking at a major harvest right now. I think he thinks that this is his play. This is his time.
This is it.
This is his moment. He's ready to call for the bomb.
Because the only way that he can offend God is by destroying souls. This
Correct.
is what.
Yeah. So he wants to get at God with the most effective way possible, and that's to try to destroy his creation.